All right, the time has come. I see that you have a handheld mic. I'm not supposed to be using that, am I?
No, I'm supposed to be using that.
All right, good.
Or I can just stay up here and whisper and just whisper secrets to you.
That's good, all right.
That would be really fun for everyone to hear.
Okay, so hi everybody. Hello, hello. I've mostly been talking to you. This is my lemonade, see, with the lemons. You got that? Yeah. That's how you know what's in it, because it's lemonade.
For those of you who have just got here, I would like to point out Will's mug. This is a mug of Will drinking from a mug with his face on it, drinking a mug.
Yeah.
So mug, filled with a Little Blue.
Mm-hmm. I was pretending to drink Little Blue, which she played along with, which was appropriate. I appreciate that. So hey everybody, welcome. Thanks for coming again. Most of you have been here before, so thanks for coming back. Yeah.
And for those of you who are new, I'm Rebecca White, Will's sister, and also I work at Hidden Gnome. And everybody you see wearing a Hidden Gnome shirt works with Hidden Gnome Publishing, Will's company. So yeah, we have our whole team here today, which is so exciting.
Most of which are my family, but not all of them, but most of them.
So every time you see someone, you just flip a coin and they're like,
you just say, are you Will's family? Actually, if you could do that the whole con, just go up to people and say, are you Will's family? Especially people who don't know who I am. That would be even better. I would prefer that. So today, what we're going to do, we have, of course, I'm sure you've seen, you're here, so you've seen on the schedule. First of all, I told you about this before, but I'm going to tell you now. We are recording this event. For the first time, we've never done this before. Some people have recorded before, but we've never done it. And what we're trying to do is we're going to record the program, or at least the part of it where I'm speaking, and we're going to put it on our YouTube channel. That is the intent. That is our intention. Somebody asked me earlier, like, why are you going to be doing this next year? And next year? That's so far in advance. We don't know anything. So we're going to try to do that. We're going to try to record and put it on YouTube. But because of that, there are a few things we're going to show you later that have copyrighted music attached. So when we play the things with copyrighted music, we are going to edit those out of the YouTube video. So please do not record them on your phone and then put them online, because I don't want Universal Music Group sending a squad of ninjas to my house to kill me.
Yeah, so when you start seeing clips of Will singing in the shower, don't
right.
record
It's copyrighted.
That.
It's copyrighted.
That's just a treat for you all.
Yes.
That we wanted to bring to
And you may think that covers you saying yourself are not copyrighted, but they are when you have a contract with Universal Music Group. So I'm not allowed to sing in the shower and then record it. That's part of, they made me sign that. It's weird. But yeah, so that's I just want to give that real caveat real quick. But I'm sure you know we're going from noon to 3. You can come, you can go, you can stay the whole time. What we're doing mainly for the first hour is I'm going to be talking. I'm just going to be talking. I'm just going to be yapping. Then after that, after the first hour, then we're going to do Q&A. So first up is me. And I'm on my feet this year, unlike last year. Last year I was being wheeled around. This year I'm on my feet. Thank you.
We did still bring the wheelchair just in case.
We did still bring the wheelchair just in case, because you never know. But this year I'm on my feet. And so because of that, I could go off. I could do whatever I wanted. I could run off stage at any time. You guys have to pay attention. I might just bolt. That is a real concern that we've had, which is why I'm now shackled to the table. So I'm going to talk to you a few things. Like mostly what I'm going to talk to you about is I thought, last year, I was talking about what we learned in the last year. So this year, I was thinking about, okay, what have I learned in the last year? And the tough part of that was whittling down all the things I learned in the last year. And a lot of it was, I was thinking about, what questions do people frequently ask me, right? What are the most common questions I get? So we're going to get one of them out of the way first thing, which is, what's happening with the animatic? Right? What's going on with the animatic? What's going on with the animation? What's going on with the animatic? Have you made any progress? Is there anything going on with animation, animatic? What is an animatic? Why do you keep using that word? Lots of things. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about animation rights, show, movie, whatever. Is that moving forward? Yes. We keep hearing things. It is developing. It's in Hollywood. We don't know. The Hollywood people are like, yeah, man, I don't know. Some people seem interested, and then sometimes they don't. And then sometimes they buy things, and sometimes they won't. And it just kind of, it's moving forward. Things are progressing. But because it's Hollywood, are they moving forward or are they moving sideways? We don't know. That is very complicated, and it takes a long time. That is the answer. I wish it was a cooler answer. I wish I was like, yes, we've sold our rights to Netflix, and they gave us way more money than Arcane, and now it's going to look like I had that dream last night, and I woke up and cried. So that is not what has happened. We have made progress, although Brandon Sanderson did a TikTok last week where he talked about his film rights and how he also doesn't know what's going on. And that made me feel so much better because I was like, if Stormlight Archives can't get a thing rolling, obviously I can't either.
We shared that TikTok with our whole team, and we were like, yay, we're not alone.
Hey, we have another awesome Ryan.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that. Glowing sword and everything.
I can't wait to get a picture with both Ryans.
Double
later.
Ryans.
The last Horizon photo shoot this year is going to be awesome.
Oh my gosh. Oh, he looks great. Is that Pride?
Wait. Oh my
God. I knew it. I saw the lines. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I'm excited. All right. So I'm looking forward to this later. Okay. The Animatic, however, so if you recall, I'm just take you through this real quick. So we did a Kickstarter to fund an animation. We knew we probably were not going to get enough money to fund a full animation, but depending on how much we got, we could do kind of a partial animation thing. And that is what we ended up doing. For the amount we raised, we could do a couple of things. We could do a short that was like 5-10 minutes long, that was fully animated, but told a story, or we could do a full feature-length animatic. An animatic is the stage animation is in before it's animated. So it's effectively like sketches. It's black and white sketches of everything that happens. So you take through the whole movie. It's fully voice acted, it's got sound effects, it's got all that stuff, but it's not animated. It's animatic, right? And I wanted to do that. That was my call. And I wanted to do it because I wanted to see, can we tell the story? Can we tell the whole story? I wanted to try the script. I wanted to see the whole process. I wanted to work with this team that we're working with, see if we click. And I wanted to go through this whole thing and create something that we could really watch that would tell a whole story. And the animatic is almost finished. As a matter of fact, we now have a sequence that goes from beginning to end. It's not done, but we're working on it. And on the way back from DragonCon, I'm going to have to watch the whole thing from beginning to end and make my notes on the second half. So I've given my notes on the first half, now I got to give my notes on the second half. And I'm looking forward to that. This should be fun. I'll be exhausted because it's the end of DragonCon, but my bleary mind will still be able to come up with some notes. So I'm looking forward to that. So we wanted to tell as much of the story as we could, and in my opinion, the animatic is a lot cooler than I thought animatics could be. So it was really neat. So in just a minute, but not right now, but just a minute, we're going to take a look at a clip from Soulsmith. Now this is, yeah. Now the animatic movie covers Unsold and Soulsmith, which was tough. I had to write the script, and I was like, I really wanted to just do Unsold, but then I was like, but Ethan's in Soulsmith. And the other thing is, 90 minutes is a little long for just Unsold, so it's like, an hour is probably about right for Unsold. So it was the whole thing. We went back and forth. And we decided to do both Unsold and Soulsmith. And so this is one of the scenes I wanted to show first, because it's one of my favorite scenes from the book, and it really came to life because Dave Hartman, so you've heard me where I worked with Jay Oliva, but one of the people on his team that he's worked with kind of as a co-director and as another co-animator on this project is David Hartman. And David Hartman is the man. He's super cool. He was really funny. And here was the thing he asked me. When I first met David Hartman, he wrote a scene, and he showed it to us in the animatic. And he said, look, some people get bothered by this. I don't know if you're going to like it, but I added some jokes. And I was like, go on. All right, I guess. And then he said, and I know some people, might throw you off, but I put a blooper in there. So
this is even better. This is even better because what happened is Sam and I were reviewing a scene, and he just plays a clip for us in the review process, and it ends with a blooper, and we lose our minds. We are dying laughing, and he was like, yeah, I didn't know if you'd like that, but when I'm drawing to entertain myself, I put in little bloopers, but obviously we won't. You don't have to keep that. And we were like, bloopers are Will's thing, right? And he was like, what are you talking about? And we were like, at the end of every book, there's bloopers. The fans are going to lose their mind. And he was like, are you kidding me? Nobody ever wants these. And we were like, you have come to the right place. We are always going to work with you, Dave.
So we had no idea that he was that cool. He had no idea there were bloopers in our books. So it was very exciting. And we are now going to show you a clip from the thing. If you remember my warning from just a moment ago, the music is temporary. We are going to have original music in the final, but right now it is copyrighted music. So please do not record it and post it on the internet, or I will be killed. And now it's time. Let's do the first clip.
So for me, one of the coolest things about that is how crazy the voice cast was and how insane these voice actors do. So one of the things is Sumali Montano is the voice of Fisher Gesha and also the voice of the young Fisher she's talking to. And it is just amazing seeing incredible voice actors just switch on a dime and seeing how they worked. Like we have clips of them recording and having the voice director giving them just very niche notes. Notes like what, Will?
Oh, I mean, the funny thing is, for me, I didn't give a lot of notes. I was just talking about what my intention was in the scene. But the voice director was giving notes like, say that more like you had once, you were hungry. Say that more like you were hungry. Okay, well, this doesn't have anything to do with food. But they're like, yeah, got it. Say it like you went on a camping trip when you were a child. Got it. Say it like the weather is stormy outside. Got it. They take any note. It doesn't matter. Then they would do it. And we'd be like, we'd be like, I have no idea how you would possibly, it's not read something angrier. It's read something like you're remembering being angry, but then you forgot and maybe you had a nightmare last night. And they're like, oh, yeah, I get that. I'm that, yeah.
So Steve Blum was the voice of Jai Long, but we got Matt Mercer from Critical Role to do the voice of Crawl, which is super cool. That was just really
You're
fun.
applauding that, and well, you should, because I was very excited to be able to talk to him at all. But Steve is the voice of, I think, Spike in Cowboy Bebop. And I know he is Zabuza in the Naruto dub. And that's what I knew him from. Because I was like, wait a second. And so I looked him up. I was really excited to have him. Yeah. So it was super cool. We have a lot of great voice actors in there. And then there was Maxine Phoenix as Urine. And this was her first role. This Animatic was her first role, and we didn't know that when she auditioned. We just really liked her clip, her read. It was really good. And then of course it's what's his name? Baldree, Travis Baldree. That was it. That was the one. Yeah, that guy. He was pretty good too.
An amateur.
Yeah. So no, it was actually really funny because it was Jay who read the books and he listened to them in audio. And he was the one who kept them. So first of all, he was like, okay, can you get some more roles? Because we then can have some more cool voice cast people and we can bring them in there. And I was like, yeah, I can split this role and this role and this role. And he was like, yeah, but Lyndon has to go to Travis because I can't hear anybody else other than Travis. I was like, okay. And then he was like, but Ethan also has to be Travis because Ethan's voice is amazing. And then they were doing oh, we need some temp voices for the Hornets, like stinging the children. And he was like, yeah, but like the way Travis does that is so good. So he just kept going back. Yeah.
He's a fan for real. But it really was great because Travis was like, look, we'll do whatever. And then we were like, okay, we think we want you to do Ethan too. And he was like, yes. He was like, okay, that was the one I secretly really wanted. And we were like, why didn't you just say that? Anyway, so it's just exciting because, again, like Will said to begin with, we were excited to be able to adapt a lot of the story, to be able to do both Unsouled and Soulsmith. But it's difficult to go, am I going to really be engaged in the story if it's an animatic? Like, is this going to feel too awkward and pull me out of it? And then when we started getting clips with the voice actor, and we were just like, no, I feel like I'm sucked in. I just want to keep watching. So we were really excited by that. Even without animation, we've been really excited. And we're excited to share with you guys. And again, we're going to have the premiere in LA and a cool theater in Hollywood on November 1st. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, looking forward to that. It's going to be a real cool fan event. And I mean, really, look, this whole thing was, like, even when we were deciding who to put on the different voices, like Travis for Ethan, we were going, this is really for the fans. Like, we're making this for the fans. This is a fan event that we're at now. And a big part of what I've been learning and working on this year is, what do the fans want? That's one of the things people ask, and they go, how do you write stories that connect with me? And that's really what they're asking. It's like, how do you do this? And a big part of it is, you're trying to go, okay, what does the reader want? And this is a common piece of writing advice, but it is one that I give a lot. And that is, write the story you would want to read, okay? But listen, write the story you would want to read if you were a reader. Not the story you do want to write as the writer, right? Those are two different things. So when I say that, people usually then go, so you didn't want to write this? And I was like, oh, that's not true. I get to do a lot of cool fun stuff that I want to write, right? But it's perspective. It is priorities. So the first thing I do is I'm always looking at the books I love, I'm looking at the books I read, and I'm going, what would I want to read? When I'm a reader, what am I looking to read? What am I looking to find? That's how I figure out what I'm going to tell next. That's how I refined my ability to write. That's how I trained. That's how I went, what effect is this having on me? And then how do I have that effect on other people? Once you do that, once you pick the story that you think people are going to write, within that, then it's like, okay, well now, there's got to be something you as a writer want to write within that because you're going, I as a hypothetical audience member wanted to read it. There's got to be something about that that's fun for me, right? But if you go first, what's fun for me, and then second, now let me see if I can make it fit the reader, that's wrong. That's the wrong priority. That leads you astray. And sometimes that'll work in the short term, but long term it gets wrong. And that ties into just a big thing that I've been working on this area. I have a lot of pieces, I have a lot of things to say about that. But it makes sense, right? Like it's not even that hard to do in a sense. It's I like what I write, and you're going, I'm going to write something to the reader. Now, how did I actually learn to do that? And more importantly, what does this have to do with you? Because some people out there want to write, right? Like some of you guys want to be writers. Raise your hand if you'd like to be a writer. We want to write a book one day, right? Yeah. Dakota, you can put your hand down. If you're already a writer, you're settled. You're there. You're already, you got it. But, and so this is how I wrote the Completionist Chronicles, starting with Ritualist. I'm just telling, this is the story of how I wrote this. And then Dakota came in and stole it. He took it right off my desk and ran off. He scurried. Lost my train of thought. This will apply to anything. No matter what you do, I have a punchline. And where I'm going to get to, this is going to apply to anything. No matter what you want to do, no matter who you are, whether you want to write or not, this is how I learned to write, and this is how you can learn to get better at whatever it is you're doing. Okay, I'm going to get there. I promise you I have a punchline, so I'm going to circle around. A lot of times I go to these panels at DragonCon, and they give me a lot to think about. I walk away, I got a lot to think about. There's a bunch of stuff, a bunch of ideas. But I rarely get given something to do. And so because of that, I'm going to give you guys homework. I'm going to give you some homework. I'm doing a thing, I'm thinking about, I'm like, what do I want to get this to stick in my brain? It would be homework. Yeah, right? Huh? You don't have to cheer for homework. I was just kidding. There will be worksheets handed out, though. That's keep an eye out for that. Yeah. I am going to give you homework. In order to think about what it takes to write something people want to read, you have to know people. You have to know how people react to things. You have to know what they like reading and why. One of the things Matt Dinneman said a couple of days ago is that becoming a really good writer takes self-awareness. And what he meant by that was you have to know how you react to things in order to anticipate how other people react to things. That was one of the things. He meant a lot of things when he said that, but that was one of them. So you have to know how you react to things to understand how other people react to things. That sounds confusing. It sounds like, how do I know what people want? How do I know what people like? And it's because people lie. They will lie to you. When you ask them, when you ask them, what do you want? What did you like? What did you not like? How did you feel about this? They will not tell you the truth. But another reason is because they don't know. They lie to themselves. Here's an example. I'm sure you've heard this. I'm sick of superhero movies. Everybody's sick of superhero movies. Superhero fatigue. There's way too many superhero movies. What was the last movie you saw? Superman. How was it? Great. So how sick are you of superhero movies? A couple of years ago, it was this was just last year. I'm sick of superhero movies. Superhero fatigue. What was the movie you just saw? Deadpool and Wolverine. How was that? Awesome. Okay, so clearly you're not that sick of superhero movies. And the point is, what you're sick of are bad superhero movies, or mediocre superhero movies, or superhero movies that feel like they were spontaneously generated by ChatGPT, right? That's what you're sick of. I don't want any more of those. But more Thunderbolts, please. Yes, Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts, by the way, was really good. This is just my opportunity to plug Thunderbolts. I love Thunderbolts. I liked it a lot. You get to punch depression right in the face. So, is this person really sick of superhero movies? No, you're sick of bad stories. People never get sick of good stories. This year, Rebecca and I, because I go to see movies with my siblings because I'm awesome.
Yay!
We went to see Sonic the Hedgehog 3. All right?
A peak cinema experience.
Peak cinema.
Yeah.
There's a 1.5-minute long scene of Jim Carrey dancing with himself. It's the best movie ever. So we went to see Sonic the Hedgehog 3. It's packed. It's opening day. And of course, it's packed with kids who are telling their moms the lore of Sonic.
And some people with their 35-year-old brothers telling them the Sonic the Hedgehog
That's right.
lore.
You didn't have an 8-year-old son, so I had to be the one to tell you the lore of Sonic.
It was great.
So it was really fun because every time anything happened in Sonic, there's this wave of kids in the audience going, oh, they react. They're laughing, they're screaming, they're going, oh, that's whatever, right? So they're really excited. A couple months later, we went to see the Minecraft movie. We also went to see it on opening day. It was also full of kids. They all had Minecraft merch on, just like all the Sonic merch on. And they reacted like 3 times. So through the movie, they were a few times. So, Lava Chicken. They sang Lava Chicken, right? A group of teenagers in the back stood up and threw their popcorn with the chicken jockey, right? Yeah. The kids didn't react to that, but the teenagers did because it was a meme. And then a couple of the jokes, right? A couple of the Jack Black jokes landed. But I came away from those movies going, I know which of those movies works better for its target audience. And I don't need to check, I don't need to check IMDb, I don't need to check Rotten Tomatoes, I don't need to look at my opinion of the movies. I know which one worked better. I just saw it. Because they reacted authentically. The people who these movies were targeting reacted authentically. And they reacted authentically to both movies. And one of them made them laugh and cheer, and one of them did not. So that is something my family has been doing my entire life. We would go to see movies, or we'd read books together, or we'd do whatever. And since I was seriously very tiny, very small, when I could fit in this mug, which was like 3-4 years ago, we would go to these movies and we would come out and go, what did you learn from the movie? Which was not just what the moral of the movie was, although it was that did happen. But it was also, how did this movie work? How was it put together? What were the people who made this movie? What are they trying to get you to think? What are they trying to get you to do? If you were to make a movie, how would you write it so that then it would have that effect on other people? What message would you want to deliver? And I've found that skill is less common than people think it is. So I've found that very often, people are like, oh yeah, I'm really good at. So raise your hand, it's gonna be everybody, if you have recently heard the term media literacy. Okay, it's a big thing that is being popularized, especially on TikTok right now, where people are talking about media literacy being your ability to break apart a piece of media and understand what it means. And it's my experience that often the people who use that term the most are the ones who probably need it the most. They probably should take some of their own advice. Because what that really is the skill of going, what is the creator trying to tell me through this piece of media, all right? So we're going to practice. We are going to practice breaking down stories right now. I have a story from an expert who's going to go book by book and break down the essential lessons you can learn from each one. So if you have notes, if you have a phone, now is a great time. You're prepared for an education, okay? Get ready. You're probably going to need a lot of note paper. So limber up your wrist.
You can earn points with this.
You can earn points
yeah,
for this. So if you could cue up that Travis video, that would be ideal. All right, so we have Travis who's going to read this to you, but it's highly educational. And I want you all to pay attention, and there will be a quiz. Hi, Sean.
Hey, everybody. Travis here. Alas, I could not make it to Dragon Con. I'm just going to too many cons this year. I am over-conned. Actually, the real reason is probably more that I am woefully behind on actually completing the book I'm supposed to be writing, and I'm desperately panicky about that. Anyway, alas, I can't be there, but really it's probably the best way that this can go, because in person I might have a smell. At any rate, I'm going to read this short from Will for you, and you get to watch me make weird faces while I do it, because this is easily the most Dross-saturated short I have ever read. Here we go. Dross tells a story. Abidan Records, Reaper Division interviews. Interview subject, Rank 1 Combat Analysis Presence. Designation, Dross. Special note, subject Dross was requested to recount the complete activities of his host, Weishi Lyndon Aurelius. Included below is his report in its entirety. It has been organized into books at Dross's insistence. Beginning report. Oh, you want to hear about Lyndon? You came to the right spirit, because I'm the foremost Lyndon expert in existence. In fact, don't even bother asking Lyndon himself. He's biased. I've compiled a very detailed presentation for you, which I have arranged into 12 parts. You might call them books. We'll start with the first one, which I have entitled Unsold. It's because he was an unsold. Get it? Anyway, there's nothing important in this one. I wasn't around, so I won't bore you. You can skip this, frankly. Lyndon was weak and pathetic. An angel lady came from beyond all space and time to take pity on him, and he decided not to be so weak and pathetic. Oh, he met Yaren, too. You know Yaren, right? She has a sword. I think that sums up her character fairly well, don't you? Let's move on. Soulsmith. He sort of learns soulsmithing in this one, but not really. He does meet Ethan. That's probably the most interesting thing about Lyndon at this point, meeting Ethan. Lyndon tricks an old lady into training him, meets Ethan, gets captured again, begs Ethan to help him, gets locked in a cave, gets poisoned, advances to Iron, kills a guy who deserved it, and finds a spear. Actually, he doesn't even find a spear. He's just there while Ethan finds the spear. I tried to get Lyndon to put me in Ethan's head, but he wouldn't do it. Black Flame. Lyndon meets a turtle and learns to set himself on fire. Skysworn. Something about Yeren and the Bleeding Phoenix. I don't know, I usually skip this part of Lyndon's memories. But he does join the Skysworn, which is vitally important because it brings us to Ghostwater. Here it is, finally. This is where Lyndon's journey really begins, you see. He finally drops his weak, pathetic, cowardly self by gaining the courage and wisdom to give me control over his body. Everything useful he did was actually me piloting him, you know. I remember our first meeting so clearly. I was waiting inside a well for just the right sacred artist, one with potential. Heralds and sages had fought over me, but I turned them down. They weren't vessels where I could really shine. When I saw Lyndon, I knew he was a blank canvas. A husk, really. A lump of clay to be molded by my hands, so to speak. Yes, I know Lyndon is going to see this report. Why do you ask? Underlord. Do you know Akura Charity? The one with all the owls? Well, she wanted children to fight for her, so she set 2 nations to war for the sake of making child gladiators. A lot of people died, but more importantly, Lyndon shot a prince with a cannon. I was proud of him for that one. He should shoot more people with cannons. Uncrowned. Oh, this is one where Lyndon lost a fight to Yeren. I won't make fun of him for that one. She had a head start on him, but this time, she called me for help, and she won. Let this be a lesson. If you call on Dross, you win. That's not even true, really. If she hadn't called my name, Lyndon would have given up, so Yeren would have won even harder, but she would have been really mad at Lyndon, I'll tell you. Actually, I can show you. I have a very detailed simulation. We'll start with the first 15 names she calls him. Simulation omitted for brevity. Wintersteel. This was a fun one. I had a good time in this one. I'd say I spent half my time calculating points, and the other half digesting the memories from the people Lyndon ate. With his arm, not his mouth. Oh, and another half running simulations against Sofara the Gold Dragon. I run so efficiently that I can divide my time in 3 halves. When Lyndon ran into Sofara for real, he killed her in about 2 seconds, because he'd fought her hundreds of times, all thanks to me. And then he became a sage. I didn't have much to do with that one. Bloodline. Have you met Lyndon's father? I think Lyndon should roll him down a few flights of stairs. Not to teach him a lesson, just because he deserves it. Anyway, the rest of Lyndon's relatives are worse. Lyndon beat them up, but not as much as he should have, if you ask me. Then we fought the Wandering Titan, a giant dread god, and I nobly sacrificed my own life. It was the most devastated Lyndon has ever been, the darkest point in his life. He would have made a statue of me if I hadn't come back, so let's skip to that part. I don't have any memories immediately after this. None. Reaper. I do not remember, and you won't get me to admit otherwise. Nothing happened here. I was dead, and that was it. Yes, Lyndon could still access some of my functions. He fought a cat. Oh, and it turns out Ethan was the missing Reaper of Worlds, the doom of all existence, which surprised everyone except me because I'd virtually figured it all out already. Or I would have if I had been there, which I wasn't. Let's move on. Dread God. There are Dread Gods in almost all of these, but this is the one where Lyndon becomes a Dread God. This is a fun one, too. Or at least it is once I come back to life. Lyndon did a good job here. He even tried to sacrifice his own brain to bring me back. It always brings a tear to my eye. Can I go back and edit the entry for Ghostwater? I should be nicer to him. No? Okay, well, I'll be nicer to him tomorrow. This is when I met my personal hero, Emrys Silentborn. She's my favorite tree. I hope to be like her someday, with lots of eyes and leaves. Majestic. Waybound. I didn't know what to call this one, but we were bound for the way, and also bound to the way, and mostly I thought it sounded good. We killed a dread god in the last one, I forgot to mention that, and this time we made it into a beautiful bow with the power of dreams, and I couldn't even use it. I got a halo, though, so that was nice. Makes me look holy, and magnifies my psychic influence, but that goes without saying. Also, we destroyed all the dread gods and transcended existence, coming to meet you here, but I still didn't get to use the bow. Mercy has it now. Does that seem unfair to you? All right, that's the end. That's it. You have all the important points, I think. Yes, of course, I have plenty more to say, but talking is so inefficient. I can directly show you the memories. All of Lyndon's memories, yeah. I have all of them. I don't see why not. He'd probably let me... Oh, never mind. He doesn't want to show you all his memories. He's actually furious that you would ask, so he's coming here now. No point in running. He knows your name. I'll leave you to deal with that. That ends the report, right? Can I say it? You're running away. You're gone now, so I'll say it. Report complete. Thanks, y'all.
I wanted to write that story for so long. So originally I was going to put that in Waybound, but it's too long. Like the blooper was too long, right? Like so it was too long to be a blooper. So then I was going to make it like its own section. Like there was bloopers, and then there was Dross recaps the Cradle series. But then I was that's again that was too much. So then I was going to put it in Threshold, but then we did our own blooper equivalent for Threshold. So I was like, yeah, it's kind of redundant with this. So I did it here. I did it now. There it is. I just wanted to write it because I knew it was going to work. I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm excited. So I was looking forward to this. And I wanted to get that out because is everybody going to love that story? Probably, yeah. But no, of course not. Nobody loves every story, right? Like nobody's. But I'm writing for a fan base I know, and I'm going, if you've read Cradle and you like Dross, which pretty much everybody who's read Cradle does, that story will usually work for you. And I know that because I think about you. I think about you guys a lot. I think about you. I practice this. I try to figure out what people want and what people like, and then how do I give it to them? How do I get people to think and feel what I want them to? And you guys can do that too, and you don't even have to be a writer. This is really just putting yourself in somebody else's head, and that's been the big thing I was practicing this year that I was working on. And when people ask about being a writer, I go, it's practicing. What do your readers want? How do you know that? How do you get to know them? How do you do that? So I promised you homework, and here is the homework. This is what I want you to do this week. Everybody here, and if you're watching it on YouTube, I want you to do this. This is something you can do this week. Put a lemon in your bathroom. I'm dead serious. How dare you laugh? I want you to take a lemon and put it in your bathroom. You can put it on your sink. You can put it in your shower, I guess. Probably don't. You'd probably slip on that. But wherever you want to put it, put a lemon somewhere it is not supposed to be. That is the idea. You're supposed to put a lemon on your child's head, in your bathroom. And you put it in your bathroom, and then every time you see it, remind yourself to do this. Watch one of these 3 movies. You got to watch a movie, and you got to put a lemon in your bathroom to remind you to do it. These are 2 steps, and they're important. Put a lemon in your bathroom. When you see it, remember, you've got to watch a movie. You have a choice. You have a choice of 3 movies, and you've got to watch one. I was going to wait until the movie showed up. There they are. All right. I plugged Thunderbolts earlier. Yeah. I feel like most of you, raise your hand if you've seen all 3 of these. Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah. Raise your hand if you've seen 1 of 3 of these. Okay, I don't know. A lot of people like half raise their hand because like there's I'm going to assume everyone, literally everyone. Okay. On the left, we have Thunderbolts. In the middle, we have Inside Out 2. And on the right, we have K-pop Demon Hunters. Okay, so I want you to watch one of these movies because these are all 3. First of all, these are all 3 very well-written movies. You might be surprised to hear me say that about at least one of them. But they are. They are all 3 incredibly well-written movies by people who understood the assignment. They understood their target audience. They knew how to write to their target audience, and they had a message that they were trying to deliver. So, Thunderbolts. What's the message of Thunderbolts, you guys?
Mental health.
Teamwork, mental health. Yes, correct. Teamwork, mental health. And then Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2 has a message. Inside Out 2 is a great movie. What is the message of Inside Out 2?
Emotions.
Mental health. Yeah, and emotions and emotions, yes. Inside Out 2, another great movie, great message. K-pop Demon Hunters. What's the message? Wrong. Demons are evil, and we've got to complete the Han Moon to keep them out. Incorrect. You didn't get the message in the movie. We've got to all hunt demons. That is the message of the movie. I don't know how you came away with anything else. That's incorrect. We got to get rid of the demons. Let's all kill the demons. We have to make a new Han Moon. That's right, yeah, because the old one broke, and it's a whole thing. It depends on the state of the Han Moon where you are, what the lesson is. Yeah. So whenever there's a mystical barrier keeping demons out, we got to repair it. So here's a funny story about K-pop Demon Hunters. I hate that movie. And yet, you just heard me recommend it. So I was trapped into watching this. And what I mean by that is, my team literally sat me down and locked the doors. That is not a joke. That is not an exaggeration. They prevented me from running because I refused to watch K-pop Demon Hunters. But I have now seen it, and I can now say, I have seen it. really, really did not like it. And let me tell you why I really, really did not like it. It is a musical. I don't like musicals. I don't like musicals. I don't like the music industry. I don't like bands. I don't do this. I listen to music all the time. I'm not into music culture. With a lot of my friends were like, oh yeah, you remember when you were a kid and you were like pretending to be a rock star? And I was like, heck no. I do not remember that. I have no memory of that. I did not want this. I never want to be on stage with a bunch of people cheering. You guys picked up on that cue a lot faster than I thought you would. That was good. Yeah, so for real, did not resonate with me at all. What did, though, is that it is a well-written, well-structured story that, first of all, is clearly very effective. I think it is now the most-watched movie on Netflix. It is definitely the most-watched animated movie. The soundtrack has been listened to billions of times with a B, and it keeps getting recommended to me on Spotify. No matter how many times I say, no, I don't want to listen to this, I've already heard it. It is absolutely everywhere because it is an effectively told, well-written story, and because the lesson is universally applicable, and it's something that really is genuinely heartfelt and meant. Why? Because the main character of this movie is trying to solve the problem externally so that she does not have to solve her problem inside. So she is trying to go, let me solve the problems around me, and then I won't have to take a look inside and work on myself. Everything will be okay, and I can just not solve my problem because everything's going to be fine. Everybody's done that. And that is something, therefore, that this movie resonates with. This movie talks to you about. And I mean, Inside Out 2, the antagonist is anxiety. She has a very well-conceived anxiety attack. It is a well-drawn, well-executed example of a physical anxiety attack. That happens in Inside Out 2. In Thunderbolts, they're punching depression in the face. And it doesn't work. And they have to team up to beat depression. And it's not over. The problem's still there. Great stuff. Great movies, great messages. So, put a lemon in your bathroom to remind you to watch one of these movies and then do the next step. And the next step is to talk with someone else about how the storytellers did this and what the message was. How did they make you feel? How did you feel? How did they make you feel that way? And why? What did they do? How did they do it? What did they do? How did they do it? And why? That's the thing. You're just going to talk about it. You're just going to talk about a movie. That sounds all complicated, like you got to remember steps. You don't. Just talk about the movie. Somebody made this. Somebody told you this story for a particular reason to get you to do something. Then, what are you going to do about it? So that's the final step. That's always the final step when you're talking about these things. You're talking about stories. They're trying to get you to do something. Okay, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to, I don't know, hire a therapist, which is probably what Thunderbolts wants you to do, right? Is this something that is, you're going to just talk about your anxiety? Is it something where you're going to tell a story, and now the story you're telling, you're going to go, okay, I'm going to learn from this, and I'm going to tell something like this. I'm going to put my struggles into my story. There's a lot of things. It doesn't have to be super dramatic. It's just it can be, we can continue talking about this. This is something where we're going to keep talking about anxiety. But you do something. So, talk about the movies with somebody else, do something. That's what the lemon is for. And if you don't know why it's a lemon, read The Last Horizon. You haven't read The Last Horizon? Read The Last Horizon. That's why it's a lemon. It's a lemon because of The Last Horizon. It's a lemon because I was like, oh, I was thinking about a cradle thing. And then I was like, no, that's not the current series. The current series is The Last Horizon. We're going to do a Last Horizon thing. It's going to be a lemon. So, yeah. So it's a lemon. Put the lemon in the bathroom and let it remind you to walk through this process. Now, why should you do that? If you're a writer, you should be breaking down people's reactions and feelings. This is a very practical way to do that. But even if you can remove through the whole process, it's a very clear, straightforward thing. But if you're not a writer, this is really just about learning how people think and how you can communicate with them. I promise you, this is really what I did. I didn't put a lemon, but I'm going to, but I didn't. But this is really the process I worked to learn how to write and learn how to tell stories and learn how to connect with people and learn how people would react. I really did do this. I would read or watch or play video games, stories, and I would break down how they worked, and I'd share my thoughts with other people, and then I'd do something about it. So, after you read The Last Horizon, which is what you're going to, oh wait, sorry, that wasn't what you were supposed to do. You're supposed to put the lemon in your bathroom and then watch the movie and then read The Last Horizon. And then everything will be good. And then I'll be very happy because you'll have read The Last Horizon. Right? Got it? We got it? Lemon in the bathroom. Great. And now it is time for a break. So my co-host is going to come up here and walk us all through the break. I don't know what that's about, so she's got the break instructions. After that, I'll be back for Q&A.
First of all, Will's a cold dead shell of a man for not enjoying K-pop Demon Hunters. Let's just get that right out of the way.
I know, she liked it a lot.
You can go take a break while I talk to everyone here for 10 minutes straight about all of the strengths of K-pop Demon Hunters.
All right. As you want to please your fans, how do you avoid doing fan service and surprising them? Fans didn't know they wanted this story or twist. Oh, I see. Okay, because I thought, and as I initially read the question, it was, how do you avoid doing fan service or surprising them? And I was like, the two things you notoriously don't want to do is fan service and surprises. But I get what you meant. I understood. You explained it.
Maria, can you bring me the box from the table? Thank you so much. I realize it's more fun to fish questions out of a cradle box.
So there's a Neil Gaiman quote that I said the other day that I use all the time and then completely botched it. So I'm going to see if I can do it correctly this time, even though I really do reference it all the time. I get blank when I'm on stage. But it's when a fan tells you something is wrong or doesn't work for them, they're almost always right. When they tell you exactly what's wrong and how to fix it, they're almost always wrong. So here's the thing. Fan feedback and fan reaction, that was, if you asked this question, you were in here earlier when I talked about being at the theater and watching the kids react to Sonic 3 versus watching the kids react to Minecraft, right? Those are honest reactions. They're reactions that people are having. They're not playing up. They're not trying to make the filmmakers feel better. They're not trying to impress their friends. They're just reacting to the movie. People are very bad at knowing their own reactions. So they will often say they liked something for a certain reason. What do you take from that? What you take is they had a positive feeling about it. When they tell you exactly why they had a positive feeling about it and what you did to create that, you take that with a massive pile of salt because they don't know. And here's the thing. Analysis requires understanding. Analysis requires insight. And if you are going to analyze a work of literature, a work of fiction, then you have to have the ability to do that. But what you don't have to have any ability to do is react to it. So you can react honestly. So one of the things, we talked about negative reviews the other day, and some negative reviews don't bother me at all. I actually really like them because it's the 1 star, I did not enjoy this at all. This was completely not for me. This was a pile of crap. I absolutely hated this. I'm never reading anything else by this author again. Okay, fine.
Well
no
done.
problem.
That was one of the questions submitted. So.
Oh, great. Yeah, I got to check out another
Just
question.
reading your mind,
Yep.
predicting the future.
I knew
well
it.
done, Dross.
So those don't bother me at all because they are expressing an opinion. And that opinion is they hate me and my books. That's fine. That's completely okay. Your reaction to the work is perfectly fine. But the ones that do irritate me are the ones where they go, well, this is where it was wrong and incorrect and did not work, and this is why. Because you then will have 5 more reviews right after that that said, this was my favorite part of the book. It totally worked. It was great. And so I went, okay, so clearly it did. The 1,000th review on Dread God, like literally the 1,000th review, it had a 4.9 or 5.0 at this point when Dread God was coming out. So it doesn't now anymore. It's like 4.8. But it had a really high review on Amazon. And like the 1,000th review on Amazon was a 1-star review, or maybe 2 stars, where he left this long essay on all the things. Will, please don't do this to this book. This is so bad. You've changed this. You've changed all these things. You've changed. Really don't change, Will. Do everything. And he goes long, like telling me, addressed to me, going, don't do this. And not once did he tell me what I did. So I have no clue what he was complaining about. So if I wanted to change it, I can't because I don't know what he was talking about. So those are, because I'm going, the real thing is you can represent with 100% accuracy is your own perspective. You can represent your own perspective and your own reaction. Don't think that what you're representing is objective because that takes skill. So that is my long-winded way of answering. How do you avoid doing fan service and how do you avoid, fans didn't know what they wanted, right? You got to do something fans didn't expect. Okay. What I'm trying to do is give them what they want, not necessarily what they say they want. Moving on. This is a math question. No, when an AMV, and I'll explain that in a second, is made for the Cradle movie, what Linkin Park song will be playing in the background?
Correct.
All right.
Excellent peak taste here.
AMV stands for Anime Music Video. All of you who already laughed at this question are very cultured, and I appreciate you. AMV stands for Anime Music Video, and it's an anime that is edited to music to be cool. And back in the early 2000s, which is when I was a teenager, most of them were set to Linkin Park songs, including the ones that I made. That's a little bit of Will lore for you. Yeah. Yeah. What Linkin Park song will be playing in the background? It's hard for me to think of ones that aren't cliche, but I'm going to pick the most cliche one of all. And I'm going to say In the End, and it's going to be a really like sad, like angsty one. And that's what it's going to be. I'm going to go with that one, even though that's like the obvious pick.
Who asked the first question we pulled?
Oh, yeah. How do you want to please your fans?
Oreos.
Yeah, Oreos.
Oreo Duty. You're getting a pack of fall-themed Oreos. Yay. And then I have a really important question.
Wait. I want to know who asked the A and B question because that was you.
Hey,
your prize
you
is my respect.
Yeah,
That's
no
just
respect for the first question.
No, that's no. You also get a little bit. You get Oreos. That's better than my respect.
Here's a quick one. Can they use a lime instead of a lemon?
Can you use a lime instead of a lemon? No. How dare you?
Folks.
What is your favorite blooper you've ever written? All right, that is tough. Okay, so first of all, I got to remember the bloopers off the top of my head, which is I don't. It's actually fun kind of going back and reading through them because I'm like, oh, I wrote that. That's cool. Right now, it's probably that Dross story that Travis read earlier because that counts as like a really long blooper. If I had to, the one that comes to my brain immediately, and I don't know if it's really my favorite one, but it definitely is the one that I thought of the most, Little Blue with a Knife. That's the one that just, it lives in my brain. That's the one. I don't know if it's really my favorite, but that's what I thought of.
Who asked that?
Rebecca? It's your turn. Question?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, you pulled like a million of them out, so I thought.
No, yeah, don't question the process. There's a process.
All right.
Be in my brain.
Oh, she's filtering them. Sorry.
Okay, so.
I got in the way.
No, let's do a question live.
Oh, yeah, live question.
Question.
You look live. OSHA hat. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you approach. Sure, yeah. But the question's got to be quick, but yes.
Yes. We're doing.
How are you going to pay?
A cosplay citation.
Oh, no, I got a cosplay citation.
Oh, no, this is terrible.
Oh,
news.
no. Level of detail, it's basic. It's my level of detail is basic. My Will White is too cool. I should try advancing. So I'm not conveying Will White's coolness with this Will White cosplay.
This is why it's important to have professionals around who are qualified and in the appropriate PPE.
Overly enthusiastic vocalizations. All right, so I need to take the energy down a little bit. I'm taking the energy down. And then insufficient So, I also double parked my spaceship. And questionable use of the way. All right. Has been drinking, probably. Citing inspector has been signed, and you got a ZO13 badge. I love this. I'm going to keep this. This is great. So I got a citation for my, I'm going to be honest, this is really a half-effort Will White cosplay. I think I could have done a lot better. The mug brought it together, but not carrying around the mug, really.
You don't get credit for a part of the cosplay someone else did.
That was awesome. Well played. Okay, if Omega had stayed with Isla, oh, by the way, I should have spoiler warning the Cradle story earlier, because it spoiled literally the entire series. Retroactive spoiler warning for about half an hour ago. Now, real spoiler warning for the pilot, kind of. If Omega had stayed with Isla, his daughter, pilot, spoilers, would there have been any chance of repairing the relationship? Yeah, there definitely would have been. So that's one where they, they both did the wrong thing. They both suck here, right? Everybody sucked here. So this is, it's kind of both their fault, right? So if they had stayed, there was a chance of repairing their relationship. Now, would they have likely repaired their relationship? No, because they both suck. But that is possibility, and that's if they had stayed together and continued growing, and maybe they would have helped each other work their way out of the relationship.
Okay.
If they watch the movies, if they put the lemon in the bathroom and they watch the movies I recommended, then they will repair their relationship and live happily ever after. And
Who asked that? Claim your Oreos.
No one
My
asked
Oreos,
it.
No one asked that
fantastic.
question. That question spontaneously generated in the box.
Those are the best kind of questions.
That's right.
Speaking of which, how hard was it to keep the secret that Ethan is Azrael, and was it
What?
intended in the first place? By the way, I love the series too.
What? Spoiler alert. So, how hard was it to keep the secret?
I
feel
found
like-
out immediately.
I
And
feel
then
like
I spoiled it for
accidentally
Sam.
spoiled Sam. Yeah. Yeah.
Sam has never been as upset with me as when I accidentally spoiled that Ethan is Azrael. That was a really bad day, you guys.
We were riding in the car together, and she just casually spoiled that, and I was silent for like 30 seconds, and I was like, I did not know that. And then and she was driving, or I would have probably committed assault.
So that's how that worked in my own household. How hard was it to keep the secret? I mean, it's one of those things where one of the things Robert Jordan used to say was, and I think actually this may have been a George R. R. Martin quote, but it's if you have 10,000 people guessing, they're going to guess it, because if it wasn't guessable, then you're a bad writer, right? So it's if it made no sense, right? Like then you wouldn't be able to guess it, but then it wouldn't make any sense, right? So if you're doing the setup and you actually are headed somewhere from the beginning, then it's guessable, and you have enough people guessing. If you have no fans guessing, then they also won't guess it because people don't like the series. But in this case, did I intend it from the beginning? Hilariously, way before the beginning. So I came up with Ethan as a character like 10 years before I started writing Cradle. I ended up robbing an old project of this character. And so I knew who he was way before I knew who Lyndon was. So this whole thing was definitely intended. How I executed it was the part that I was like, okay, crap, how am I going to do this? And I really was it was really touch and go on how to do the setup without completely giving it away. So, yep.
Okay, let's do another audience question.
Yes, right there.
He was ready.
One of my favorite characters is Kara Fury.
Yeah.
And like immediately thought about Goku from Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
What?
Oh, but yeah, I was like, are there any other like characters from like other fictional works that inspired your Cradle characters?
All right, so I love that question. So he was saying that Akira Fury reminds him of Goku from something called Dragon Ball Z, I think was what he said. Never heard of it, but it sounds pretty cool. And so very clearly, yes, Fury is Goku. That's 100%. He's just shadow magic Goku. That's his thing. 100. Yeah, absolutely. And so he asked, is there anything else, any other fictional characters that inspired Cradle characters? And really the answer is, what I do is I know who the characters are in abstract. I know who they are like in the outline. I know who they are supposed to be. I know what they're supposed to do in the story. And then what I'm usually looking for is a cool way of selling them. I'm looking for a cool way of how do they act? How do they look? What's a cool take on them? And so sometimes I will take something from a fictional character. So most easily, the Last Horizon characters are almost all based on existing characters, right? They're almost all inspired by either a general version of who they are or a specific character, right? And so Omega very often is Alucard, right, from Hellsing. And that kind of thing all right, look, people have caught this, okay? So this isn't like a super big, but I usually deny this. It's true though. For Dross, I was just taking Wheatley. It was Wheatley from Portal 2. So he's a little, I know, yeah, he's a little round guy that's like an AI, and it's like it's Stephen Merchant, right? So that was initially, I was like, okay, when I'm writing Dross lines, I'm thinking through how Wheatley would say it. Well, then Travis Baldree took over, and Travis Baldree had his voice for Dross, and so then I started hearing that, so then that helped me kind of spark and move on from Wheatley a little bit. But yeah, those are my, off the top of my head, those my answers.
Speaking of that, somebody also asked, how can they get Travis Baldree to do their inner monologue?
Yeah, you got to listen to more Cradle. You got to listen to more my ebooks. The Last Horizon. Yeah, you got to internalize it.
All right, we're gonna have Sam pull a question from the back.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna do another quick question while he's finding somebody to ask. So another quick question: when will we get a Lemon revenge story?
Lemon has nothing to take revenge for. All of Lemon's enemies are dead.
All right. So
Yes.
question in the back from Sam.
Who's your favorite character in all of your series?
Oh,
Controversial.
Really put me on the spot here. Who's my favorite character from all my series? Okay.
There's a character named Rebecca. So. Thank you.
That is so second place. So my there's a couple ways to answer that. There's which character is my favorite to write, right? And then there's which character is like my favorite, maybe like to hang out with, or if I were a reader, who would be my favorite character, right? So in all cases, it's probably Ethan. That's probably he's super fun to write. I enjoy reading him. He stays funny. He was a character that I had lived in my head for years before I wrote Cradle, and I was like, I think I can really write this guy. And I really enjoyed that. Dross, basically, except for the Wheatley style, is effectively just me. So Dross is just this is what I would do if I were an AI in somebody's head, and it'd be really annoying. So the answer is probably Ethan. But when I think of favorite characters, I think of all of the kind of very comedic characters. I do think of Bliss from Elder Empire, which both of you have read. Both the two of you in the audience have read. There's dozens of us, dozens. So I like Bliss from Elder Empire a lot. I like Dross. I like Ethan. I like Ryan, Omega, Shirax, Horizon. Yeah, the characters that are just funny. That basically that's effectively.
Yeah, you can't shut his humor off. It never goes away. So when he's writing and he cannot shut it off, it's perfect.
I kind of turn it down on stage, to be honest.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, Sam's gonna raise your hands, and Sam's gonna pick somebody else to give a question to. And while he is choosing and selecting and coming to you, how does Dross compare to the other presences in terms of ability?
How does Dross compare to other presences in terms of ability? Dross is specialized as a combat presence. So presences have different roles, and they have different functions, and they have different qualities, and they have different all sorts of stuff. But Dross is a combat presence, so Dross is specialized for combat simulations, and that is what he is best at. And then in terms of how powerful he is, it's like, yeah, he's better than what a new Abaddon would normally have. The new Abaddon would normally have like a, assembly line, random, generic presence that they would just toss you, and then you have to fill it in, you have to grow it over time. And he would be something that he's already started to grow. He started to grow before it's usually possible to grow. And so it's possible that one day he would grow into something extremely powerful. But right now it's like, yeah, it's way better than anything anybody new has, but it's something that's insane for the Abaddon. No, Suriel's presence obviously beats the crap out of Dross. So, yep.
All right, Sam's turn.
Also, if we read your question that you wrote, please raise your hand so that I can throw Oreos at you.
Throw Oreos at you.
Oh, yeah. I was forgetting your Oreo treats.
Raise your face so you get hit in the face.
So, why do all of your protagonists, or almost all of your protagonists across your series, why do they all have some kind of daddy issues? Or are you doing all right? You need someone to talk to?
You're the one who wrote, Billy, we now have another horrible dad. What did you do? Because I had pulled that one out for our dad to answer. I love it.
Don't give him more. Take Oreos from him. That's right. That's it. Go ahead.
Do you want to talk about what you're working on right now?
Should I? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not like it's recorded and going to end up on YouTube or anything. All right. So here's what I'm working on right now. And I'm only on a beta draft. What I've revealed so far is that it's lit RPG, right? It's more lit RPG than what I normally write, which is already pretty lit RPG. So it's closer. It's closer. I'm edging closer to lit RPG. The idea behind this one is it is effectively an isekai, which some of you know what that means. And that means that a character is coming from a world into another world, another fantasy world, and he is being taken there to help. And he is a butler, and he is being sent to a family who is doomed to die. And so they're on this journey, and it is effectively a butler family thing. And what Rebecca thought is that he was going to be the surrogate father figure for this little girl who has to stay alive, because, obviously there's going to be no father, and there's got to be a father figure, because the father is clearly going to be terrible and a horrible person, because that's how I always write fathers.
And then I read the first draft, and I was like, did you write this? Because there's a father. He's alive. He's present. He's not. I don't want to throw him down the stairs. Well, this is shocking stuff.
Throw him down the stairs a little bit.
Shocking stuff.
So there's actually kind of a butler family dynamic. The most fun thing about the premise of this to me is this is first chapter spoilers of my new thing that's not out and could get rewritten. So, this could go anywhere. But the idea is that this starts off with a guy who's this butler who's being on trial for betraying his lord or whatever. And in the middle of the trial, as he's being sentenced to death, he gets Abaddoned away. into a,
I love you, Rebecca.
Oh.
Get wrecked, Will.
I'm still in the beta version. This dad could still go off the rails. So he gets Abaddoned away, and he's in this like little Abaddon office. And effectively, what this is the Abaddon trying to circumvent the Reaper division. So what they're doing is they're taking people who are doomed to die from other worlds, and they're just sort of haphazardly throwing them at the worlds that are ending, and going, "Hey, maybe you can help. Go!" And that's kind of the idea. So he's just some random schmuck who was plucked up and tossed into an ending world to go, hey, maybe you can extend the lifespan of this world a little bit, and if you can, we'll reward you, and if you can't, you're trapped on a world that's going to end. So there you go.
It's fun times.
So that's the kind of premise.
Will, Sam, another audience question.
I didn't actually answer the question.
Well,
Here's the question. Here's the answer. Usually I just want as much drama in my protagonist's lives as possible. So that's it. So I just make it up. So Bad Father is an easy shortcut to drama in their person. It has nothing to do with my personal life at all. When people are like, oh, you always write about bad fathers. You must hate your dad. No, I got a great relationship with my dad. Yeah, that's it. It was not an interesting answer, so I gave you all that other stuff. Let's go.
Thank you. So I was very curious. Inside of the whole Cradle series, you touch on the ability to grow one's strength, and particularly on a spiritual level, like that energy level. And I was really touched by some of the practices, particularly the rotating stone disc and how you rotate it up the spine and down the spine. And it felt really akin to me of other practices that I've read about from Taoist practices or even tantric practices. And I was just really curious where the inspiration came from that.
Oh, for sure. So first of all, this all comes from my terrible relationship with my father. And no, so the original genre that I'm sort of bending here is a Chinese cultivation genre, which is, there's a lot of expressions of it, but the idea is it's mostly rooted in Taoism and Taoist myth, right? So there's the idea of these novels, which are mostly like fantasy, action, adventure novels, but the idea is that through meditation and through personal improvement, you grow in strength and power, but you also grow closer to the universe, and you also grow more able to understand the fundamental concepts of existence. And I really enjoyed that loop. I really enjoyed that as a story structure. And so I did a lot of research on Taoism and on the origins of these novels and of different practices and stuff. And early on in the process, very early on, I was going, I can work these in, and I can have all this stuff, and there's all these cool ideas that I can take and work in. And then as I was working with it, I was kind of like, a big part of the reason why I was writing this is because in order to enjoy those books, you have to have some understanding of Taoism and meditative practices. And I do, so it's okay. But when I try to get people to read it who don't, they have no clue what's going on, and the books don't explain it at all. So they're talking about, they say samsara or something, and it's like, okay, that's not a term that I'm aware of. And it's like, oh, okay, so you're not, if there's Buddhist influence here, and then people don't know what that means, the book doesn't explain it, they just assume you know. So, all that long story short, I just sort of made it up. So I did all that, and I was like, the original inspiration was, there's a lot of, it's mostly Taoist, but there's a lot of, there's Confucian influence, and there's Buddhist influence, and there's even some Hindu influence, actually, in the original practices that inspire the books, that inspired me. And I went back and looked at all that stuff and went, okay, great. Now that I've got an education, it is time to do my own thing.
Well, and I think that just goes back to a lot of what you said earlier, because you were reading so many of these wuxia novels, and you still do, and you talked so much about wanting to recommend them to people, but there are some things that prevent a barrier to entry. So you were like, well, how do I share these kinds of stories that I'm reading and I love while making it more accessible to them, and changing things like a lot of times the treatment of women and like some of the cultural things that are different and difficult. So again, it's going back to, how do I write a story that my target audience will enjoy? Yeah,
a lot of these. So that's a great point. What I was thinking was I was looking at what made these stories successful, and a lot of it was there's an inherent journey. There's something we all desire to do about self-improvement, and then there's and so that's why, of course, that's the big theme of the series is we all want to get better. I always want people to get better. We all want to be on this growth journey. Internally, externally, with other people, all that stuff. We want to be on a growth journey. And of course, the punchline of the series is you don't want to be on a growth journey alone. You want to be on it together. But there were a lot of things that made it not work for the people that I was trying to recommend it to, which it did work for its intended target audience, so great, no correction there. But for the people I'm trying to share it with, who live in a completely different half of the world, it is there are often lines in Chinese cultivation novels that are concepts you don't understand, or it's stuff like, well, as a woman, she would naturally seek a man's protection, right? That is not, I didn't make that up. That's a very, very common, and that kind of thing pops up a lot. So as a man, he naturally was going to protect women. Well, as a man, he could not cry. As a man, he could not. As a man, he had to do this. As a woman, he had to do this. And I was like, well, that's not going to fly with a lot of people I'm going to recommend this to. So I like the book, but that's going to be a tough sell. So I was going, look, these kinds of things I'm adjusting this. Clearly, it was not a problem in the original target audience. I don't pretend to be an expert on Chinese culture, but clearly that's not that much of a problem. But here, I was like, okay, I want the readers to see the cool story and the ideas that are buried underneath this. And so I was just trying to go, let me see if you can enjoy mine, and then maybe that'll lead you to enjoy some of the originals.
Okay, so Sam is going to find somebody else in the audience to answer questions, but while he does that, you're going to answer a question I don't understand why anyone would ask you this. How do you stay so productive while remaining so handsome without getting distracted? Which I want to know who asked that question, because that sounded like Dakota Crowd. I knew it!
He called it.
There's such a Dakota Crowd question.
That question sounds like it was actually intended for my brother Sam. I'm pretty sure.
You don't want to read what I wrote. Erotica.
That's talking about being productive and handsome. That only applies to I only do one of those two things. All right.
Okay, go ahead, Sam.
So during the book Black Flame, when Ethan is recommending Lyndon different paths, did you actually plan for Lyndon to have those paths and different prototypes of the books? And if you did, how do you make a path? How do you name it? And how do you have different techniques? How do you plan it all?
Oh boy. All right. So every one of those paths was something I had considered for Lyndon. So there were a lot of these that I was so what I did was basically I went through my discarded versions of what's the cool path he could go with. And I had him try them out live in front of you, right? And I was going, there are some of these I liked more than others, and there are some that were more likely than others. The Path of the Broken Star I had come up with for actually a different story. I called it something else. But I enjoyed it. It was a cool energy thing, and they were going to do some cooler things when he was higher level. And so I really just thought about repurposing that for Lyndon. And it had kind of a similar vibe to Black Flame. I ended up doing Black Flame because of the dragon connection, and I just thought that would be fun, right? How do I come up with a path, and how do I plan it and name it and do all that stuff? Well, a lot of ways. A lot of ways. I do a lot of things. So it's basically just when I have a new character, I'm trying to make him look cool and memorable. So I go, what's a cool, memorable thing he could be doing? He could be throwing spears made of snakes, right? What are cool things that he could do? And then I make that into a path, and then I go, what's a cool name? And I spend a while making up cool names. Sometimes I just make up a bunch of cool names, and then I go, well, what does this path sound? Path of the whatever the heck.
So,
and then I go and make it up.
Let me just tell you a little bit what Will is like in normal life when he is not writing and working. He is doing the exact same thing that he just described all the time, all day. He is playing imagination. He is making these things up. He is, when he is taking breaks, he will be he'll have Supernatural on in the background, and he'll be sitting on the couch with his laptop, and he'll be making up different superpower combinations just to play with them for fun.
If you are part of the Choose Your Own Adventure subreddit, you have interacted with Will.
Yeah,
just
100%. Yep. Is Mu and Kai confirmed dead?
Confirmed alive, you mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure that was what he meant. Yeah. Yeah, Mu and Kai, the real main character of the Cradle series. Anyone?
Yep.
Yeah. I have a story about Mu and Kai. It became a meme on the subreddit that Mu and Kai, the random guy who dies at the beginning of Ghostwater. Ghostwater? Skysworn. It is Ghostwater. Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
The random guy who dies at the beginning of Ghostwater and has absolutely no significance beyond that. He's just some random mook who dies to show off how strong Lyndon is. However, it became a meme that he was the real main character and he was going to come back, and it was just kind of this joke. So as a joke video later, we were doing the casting for the animation, and so I was getting increasingly unbelievable people for different parts to show you that it was a joke. We hadn't really cast the animation. And I was like, who is the most unlikely person to ever voice some random schmuck in our and it was Barack Obama. And so I said, I was thinking, who's the most important person I could put on here that people would see that and laugh, because obviously this is the most unimportant role in the world. And we had people offended because I was, A, mocking Barack Obama by making him a guy who dies, and clearly I was taking a political position because I wanted Barack Obama to be the guy that Lyndon beats. And then also offended because clearly I was promoting Barack Obama. This was years after he was president, so I don't know what good that would do. But promoting him by putting him on our cast list. And I was like, I was saying he was going to voice some random character, monster of the week in our thing. So that blew up way, it was only a few people that said that, but it was still like, I was like, why was this controversial? So from now on, you'll never hear me say a politician's name on stage like Barack Obama. You'll never hear that. You never will.
All right, Sam's going to find somebody else to ask a question too, but in the meantime, Will, where do you make the books? Like physically, where do you write them most often?
Okay, this is a funny story, and a lot of you have heard it already. I write on cruise ships. So I write on ships on the sea. Good question. Yeah, you knew. I think you do. I think you knew. Yeah, I live in Florida. I live close to a cruise port. I cruise. Where do I go? Who cares? I don't get off the ship. I just write books all day. And so I'll book 2 or 3 cruises in a row, and I will write the whole time, and I'll have a book. And that is what I do.
We still have friends who don't really believe that, and they're like, oh, where are you going? Like, you're going on another fun trip. And Will's like, no, I genuinely don't get off the boat. I am stuck in the boat. I eat food, and I write. And then I write more, and then I eat more food, and then I go back and I write more.
It's the ideal loop.
It's great.
Yeah.
Sam.
All right, and here's a little spoiler alert. If you want to get your questions answered, you cosplay as Lyndon post Waybound. So here we go. That's
nice.
You can be bought.
You look awesome.
My integrity can be bought. FYI.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Question. I'll hold it for you.
Wow, that looks great. I hadn't seen those props before. Wow.
Yeah.
So it seems like that the crew of The Last Horizon are among the most powerful in the iteration, but they don't seem to be pushed out by the iteration like Monarchs would.
Yeah.
So what does Ascension look like from Threshold? Or no, not Threshold. Fathom.
Fathom. Yeah. Okay. So the reason why Monarchs are pushed out of Cradle is because they are more powerful than the energy system of Cradle is supposed to allow, right? They've combined 2 things that are not supposed to be combined, and ordinarily that would just pop you right out, right? Like you reach the ceiling, you pop out, and then they found loopholes to stay, okay? In Fathom, which is a larger and more stable iteration than Cradle is, the energy system also does not push you up. So the Aether is not forcing you to get more powerful. The Aether makes you as powerful as you are. And they are within the limits of the Aether. They are not pushing it. They're not up there. The Aether allows for things that are more powerful than them, as a lot of the things that they're fighting against. So they're within the bounds. They're within the levels. They're within the level cap. They're at the level cap, but they're within it. So that's the answer.
Kind of a similar question. How well would a Novabot function on Cradle, and what level would a top-tier Novabot be?
Ooh.
So we've had a lot of people ask questions about the power levels of other characters in Last Horizon, but what's a top-tier Novabot?
Well, the top-tier Novabot is Starhammer,
yes.
And Starhammer would fare very well on Cradle for a couple of reasons. One is his abilities are not countered are not countered well by most Sacred Artists. And another thing is the evolution engine being on Cradle would adapt to that environment and allow him to therefore also cultivate Sacred Arts. How would that work? It'd be a little bit different for him, but he could do it. So those are he'd be a dog. He'd be in it.
All right, here's a yes or no question. At Overlord, could Ethan have won the Uncrowned King tournament?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I'll tell you why Ethan didn't win the Uncrowned King. Bye, Haylock. Everybody say bye to Haylock Jobson.
Bye,
Haylock. I told him I wasn't going to shout him out, but I did anyway.
Go read his book.
Everybody read Heretical Fishing.
Yay.
Goodbye.
Heretical
Fishing. Anyway.
Okay, did those who made the Zenith devices ascend to the Abaddon? Would they count as Abaddon-level weapons like Penance?
Okay, would they count as Abaddon-level weapons like Penance? No, they would not. Here's why. Because they don't operate specifically with principles of the way, they're not absolute, right? They're not things that are from beyond the rules of the world that are coming in to edit the rules of the world. They're made within the rules of Fathom, and therefore they're they're good to go. They're within the rules. The other thing, did they extend to the Abaddon? Maybe they did. Maybe they did. Who knows? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe knows. I do know. You don't know.
All right, raise your hands if you want a question. Sam's
wait.
Oh.
We're going to do one more question from the microphone. I'm going to turn my back. Whoever is showing the most energy is the one I'm going to pick from, okay?
Energy.
1, 2, 3, go. Energy,
More
big
passion.
energy, dead energy, dead energy. Oh, my God. Yeah.
More footwork.
You win. Absolutely. All right, question.
I had a question about the Traveler's Gate.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
How did you come up with Kai's personality and obsession with dolls?
All right, so I'm going to answer a part of the question you did not ask, which is how I came up with Kai's appearance. Who here is familiar with the anime Mushishi? Yeah, that's it. That's it. I thought there'd be a couple of you, and there were. There were more than I expected, to be honest. Mushishi is a very cozy anime about going around and figuring out little spirit bugs. That's about it. But the main character was kind of looked like Kai, so he had like shaggy white hair, and I was like, I like that appearance. I'm going to take it. And so that's his appearance, and then his personality, and the dolls thing is I was like, okay, I want this mentor to be clearly unstable and unreliable. So how do I demonstrate that? And I came up with a visual prop to indicate that he's a weirdo. And I went, he could be carrying around a doll and whispering to it, and he could speak in crazy sing-song riddles, and he could do all this stuff that I was just trying to go, how do I show, how is the reader going to pick up immediately that this guy's a wacko? And then he was speaking to the dolls, and I went, but it'd be super funny if the dolls talked back. that'd be even better. So that, after I did that did his intro scene, and I went, this is a cool thing for Kai to do. I went, but is he crazy, or can the dolls actually talk? And I thought it'd be more fun if the dolls talked, and Simon's alone for a lot of the series, so I needed somebody to talk with him, so that became the dolls, and that's how that worked.
So I genuinely think Still's, for me, one of the most devastating deaths and moments in any of the books you've written.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. For Traveler's Gate, is I had no idea a doll could die. A doll could die? That wasn't... Humans can die. The dolls can't die. Why would you do this to me? Anyway,
anybody can die.
Forgive you for that. Who will voice Dross in the inevitable sequel to the Animatic, and why is it Travis Baldree?
Okay, so here's what's interesting. We asked Travis, if we really do go to series, what is the character that you really would want to voice? Like you got to pick one, because maybe we're going to get somebody else for the different roles. Who are you going to pick? I said Dross for him. He said Orthos. The one he wanted to do the most was Orthos. So that's what Travis said, and that's who we have earmarked, if that happens, which it may or may not. I have no idea.
So it's going to be Stephen Merchant.
So it's going to be Stephen. Yeah, it's probably going to be Stephen Merchant for Dross. Yeah, that's definitely within my budget.
All right, Sam's going to go find someone else while I ask one other question, which will spend the next 20 minutes answering.
Okay,
what are some of your favorite wuxia?
Well, if I only have 20 minutes, so there's a couple of, I am going to mispronounce these names, these words, I promise you, I do not speak Chinese. So these are about to be Chinese genre names that I am going to mispronounce. So I apologize in advance for anyone who really does speak Chinese. By all means, correct me later, I can't say it. But, so wuxia is basically the lower power version of this genre. It's kind of, what you think of like kung fu movies, right? That's wuxia, right? So then there's, I can't say it. I can write it, but I can't say it. It's shansha, right? So that's the fantasy version. I'm so sorry. I see you laughing at me. I can't say it, but it is the fantasy version. It is effectively the Chinese myth, right? So then you add a bunch of stuff to that. And then there's, again, Xuanhuan. I'm sorry. It is more the Western fantasy with a cultivation element attached to it. So those are basically the three different genres subgenres in this cultivation space, which is why I say cultivation. That's kind of a catch-all to all of those little genres. And it is, what are my favorites? Oh my gosh, it is hard to narrow them down. However, I will say, I am currently reading Tribulation of the Myriad Realms on wuxiaworld.com, and it is great. Really, really good. Really liking it. Very much enjoying that one. So Tribulation of the Myriad Realms is my current one. Yeah.
All right, going to Sam.
Hello.
You've spoken in the past about the importance of making a promise to your audience and actually following through and giving that to them.
Yes.
How do you make sure that what you think you're promising them is what they think they're being promised? How do you make sure
yeah, that's interesting because that is something that, so first of all, you can't be 100% on this. So the question really is, how do you make sure you are, whatever you're promising, so you're setting up something to your readers, I'm promising you I'm going to do this, and how do you make sure that you're promising the right things and that what they think they're getting promised is what they're being promised? So first of all, you can't completely. So there are a lot of times where people have taken something I've said and then gone, well, Will said he was going to do this. And I was like, I didn't say that at all. So there are sometimes, there's the simple ones of like, well, I intend to try this. And then they go, Will's definitely going to do that. Okay, there's that level. And then there's also like, here's a hypothetical example of a thing I might do in the future. And they're like, Will said he's definitely going to do it. So there's that. And then there's also things people pick up on the books and they take as promises that are not. So it's there's a million of these, but it's Lyndon's going to be a judge when he grows up. Okay, what? Lyndon's going to ascend and he's going to defeat the Mad King because the Mad King is the series villain and he's the series protagonist. He's going to beat him. No. Outclassed. Sorry. Yeah, try again, son. Right? So people thought I was promising that and they thought I was promising and doing the setup. And really, I was setting it up for something else. So you can't have, people are going to read into things and they're going to read it a certain way. But what you set up can be a lot, where I'm definitely, the real way to do this is to stay consistent. It's stay consistent about where you're going, right? So then the stuff I say like, when he meets Suriel at the beginning and she's showing the top end of the series, you can reasonably take that as a promise that that's where we're going to go. We're going to explore that. We're going to see these people again. And of course we are, right? We are. That is where we're going. So those are things where I was being deliberate about that. I was planning that from the beginning, and I was deliberately going, how do we set people up and get people to expect this? And that's really where we were headed. So it's really about being consistent and knowing where you're going.
Well, one of the things we say a lot as a company, too, outside of the writing portion of that answer is communication is a tension to be managed, not a problem to be solved.
Yes.
And you're never going to be able to perfectly communicate what you mean to everyone. And so that's one of the things that's really hard a lot of times as a company is there are now so many fans, and if we try to communicate even this event, we will talk to people this week who will be like, I didn't know you had this event going on. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you let me know? And that is always a hard thing because you can take that and feel like, oh, I've really failed. Or you can go, there's always room to improve, but there is a level of, you can't do a perfect job on this. Social media isn't perfect. No method of communication is perfect. And we deal with that internally, externally, and in writing. So one other quick question. What was Ethan's Archlord revelation, if you have an answer to that?
I don't remember what it is. I have it written down, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. I have it. It's like it's a thing that I wrote. Like it's in my notes, but I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know.
Blog this week or something.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to figure that out.
This is an interesting question I haven't seen anyone ask before. How do cores work with pregnancy? If a woman is pregnant, does she cycle that core? Does she know exactly when the baby grows a core?
Believe it or not, that I actually do have an answer to. Hey, right? Yeah.
Nerd.
So this is a thing. I have an answer for this. So the mother's Madra system treats the baby as part of her Madra system until the baby is born. And this is part of the reason why some Madra affinities are genetic. Is they're not really genetic. It actually has to do with just how Madras pass down from mother to child. So sometimes, what they're doing is when the mother cycles, it's protecting the baby. And the baby is therefore acclimated to the mother's Madra as it develops. And then it comes out acclimated to a certain type of Madra. So that's the answer.
Okay. We are about to take another quick break before we come back for some more Q&A questions. So again, co-host is stuck talking to someone somewhere, as per usual. If you leave a Will White event and haven't had a conversation with Sam White, have you really gone to a Will White event? Somebody asked the question, do you accept fan art? If so, do you have a place we can share with you? Instagram. We have an official Instagram account. We love seeing fan art. Our social media team is run by Sam and by Mike Adler, who is also running around somewhere. So yes, if you want to share on Instagram, we also have our official Facebook page, and we do have a TikTok. It's every now and then we post videos. But mostly, Yes, fan art on Instagram. We love seeing it. We love sharing it. And again, last year, Olivia Hens, we just saw her fan art, and she had the booth at DragonCon, and we thought that was so cool. And this year, you've all got postcards with her beautiful Cradle Gang art print on there. So, yeah, it's awesome stuff. I've got a stack of questions. If someone, Maria, can you bring me the box with if there's any other questions in there? Or I'll just bring the box to shuffle more questions out because that's fun. Sam, someone submitted this question, which just says, Sam.
So this is a Discord question. On the Cradle Discord, yes, on the Cradle Discord, they like to make fun of me in a wholesome way. And if you put !Sam, it comes up with a random Sam GIF. So sometimes it's, yay, Sam, and then sometimes it's like, Sam, I hate you. And it's just funny how the robot overlords decide which one is which. It really determines the mood of my day. Sometimes it's terrible. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's great. Most of the time it's not.
Great.
Yeah, anyway. Were there any other ones we could answer? On the spot.
And then I shuffled them in. Can you stare at a lemon?
I can stare at a lemon, yeah. I'm doing that right now.
Do you want to do your best Ethan impression?
No. No, I do not. It's funny because I used to have really long blonde hair, and it's like fun to think about that maybe I was the inspiration for Ethan. I wasn't. I was not. I'm not nearly as witty or powerful. And I'm not the interdimensional god of death.
No, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
I am mostly pulling out questions for Will, but if you want to go through some of those, if there's some you can answer.
Well, there is one thing I wanted to say earlier. I was talking about the Cradle Kickstarter for the leather bounds, and then I mentioned the Little Blue and the backpack. That comes from our Animatic Kickstarter. I did not make that clear, so just to make that clear, those are two different Kickstarters. We kickstart so many things, I get lost. But everybody who's back to Kickstarter, thank you. I appreciate that. That keeps food on my table, and most importantly, Will's table.
Speaking of which, the short story that Travis read was actually written and is going to be released as part of the Animatic rewards. Like that was part of the base reward for anyone who backed, as Will would write this additional short story. So there you go. You guys just got to see it first before it got sent out to all of the backers.
That'll be going out to all the backers. That will probably end up on our YouTube channel as well, so that it will be public for everybody, which is fun. And that actually came from, I don't think Will mentioned it, but there's anybody seen Frozen? Because Frozen are like great animated movies. Thank you. Yeah. And Olaf has a part where he recaps what happens in the movies, and that's where Will initially got that idea for Dross telling what happened in the book.
Like all my best ideas, I stole it from Frozen.
That's right.
My turn. All right, here we go.
Question time.
Will. Yay.
You guys submitted so many more questions in the video.
I have a question first. It's my turn for a question. I answered all those questions earlier, but I didn't ask any, so I'm going to ask a question. And my question is, if there was one character intro in Soulsmith that you would want to see on the screen, whose character intro would it be? So you said Gesha, which is correct, but we already showed that one. So Ethan? Ethan sounds good? All right, well, you know what? I think we can make it happen. Guys, do we have the clip? Yay! So Sam's coming up to talk about this, and I'm sure he's going to touch on this, but the guy who animated that scene, drew that scene, initially hadn't read the book, so he'd only read my script, so he'd only read the description of the character, and he picked that music all on his own. You know what I'm just saying?
So it got to that point, and again, I know Rebecca touched on this earlier, but the first time he drew a scene for us, he added in a blooper, and me and Rebecca were on the call, and he threw in the blooper, and we were just out of our chairs on the floor laughing. He said, I know, it's not really what you guys want in the animatic. And we were like, no, this is what everybody wants in the animatic. So we will have bloopers, thanks to Dave Hartman. And then it was also like, I really love this character, Ethan. Do you know, is he like everybody's favorite character? Because I love him. And we're like, yeah, he is, for sure. He said, Staying Alive, it seems like his theme song, which of course we don't have the rights for. So that will not be in the final thing. We will have original music, but it will be inspired by that. So go Dave, woohoo!
Yeah, so we obviously won't be able to post that one on YouTube. So I can't imagine a better song coming in for that. But that's pretty exciting. You guys got to see it here for the only time. Will you ever add more characters that are children in future books? And I have to say, when you mentioned earlier about the book you're working on, it is a butler taking care of a family.
Will I ever add characters who are children to future books? You know, in this upcoming series, I have a butler taking care of a family. There are children in the family. But still the answer is no. No, I don't think I'm going to write children ever again.
No.
I think they're probably, I think I'm just going to, everybody's 18 or older. We're just going to, that's the rule
No
from
more
now
kids.
on. Yep.
I don't know why somebody submitted this question because it's an obvious answer. Which Saja boy do you relate to the most? It's obviously romance. I don't know what you guys were thinking. And for the rest
Saja
of
boy
you,
to
you should
relate
watch
to the
K-pop
most.
Demon Hunters.
I don't even know their names.
Wow, you don't even know their names.
Why would I know their names?
Okay, so I noticed Zeal wasn't important enough to the Dross short story to be put in the summary. So will he be written out for an extra Dross in possible future animatics?
That's actually, this is all part of Dross's plan. He's actually redoing this so that Dross and Mercy are just two different variants of Dross now in the story. And soon it'll all be Dross. It'll be Dross playing all the parts. That's actually, this is why we don't have a show yet, is because Dross is going to play all the parts.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so pay attention here.
Okay.
If Benry has 5 starships and Varric steals 3 of them, how many starships does Benry have? Math questions to a writer, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we're at.
So the real answer is as many as he wants, because both of those people can use cloning magic. So that's the math is irrelevant because it doesn't matter because they can all just copy ships.
All right, well, when can we expect Cradle the Musical? Making Ethan sing. Ethan would absolutely be the lead singer.
Ethan's the only one that would be, I'd be like, yeah, he might actually be in Cradle of the Musical. That one, he'd fit. Dross too, actually. Dross would play along with that. I shouldn't have said anything about musicals. Now I know I'm going to get trolled on this forever.
I need some fan music videos
I
now. That's
know.
what we need.
Let's skip that question.
What's your favorite Brandon Sanderson book?
Favorite Brandon Sanderson book? Ooh, that's fun. So my obvious immediate answer is Mistborn. That's the first thing I thought of. But the second Stormlight Archives book, Words of Radiance, that I really, really like. I really, really like it in spite of the fact that it crushed a long-held dream of mine. So the first book introduces Syl, who is a sylvan spirit and who's a little companion to the character, just like Little Blue is a sylvan river seed. Well, I had the idea that he was going to have that companion character and she was going to turn into a spear. So I've told this story before, but it was like in the first book, I'm like, okay, well, so you're already doing the wind spirit thing. It's called sylvan for the same reason I was going to use the word sylvan. So I was like, okay, I'll change it. And everybody's got these little spirit companions. And then in book 2, she turns into a spear. And I was like, how dare you, Brandon Sanderson? So then I couldn't use it. I had to do something else with Little Blue. But still excellent book. One of my favorites.
Okay, raise your hand and Sam's going to go find some people to answer questions. And in the meantime, you answered earlier that Dross is more of a combat presence. So this person asks, is Norse Strider's Oracle Codex more like a combat presence, a scientific analysis presence, or some other kind?
More of a scientific analysis presence, which is interesting because he was mostly using that, it was mostly research data, right? So that's one of the reasons why Dross's combat solutions end up being better than the Oracle Codexes later. One of them is because Dross has the freedom and creativity to make up ideas, and the Oracle Codex doesn't. And then another reason is he is more combat specialized than the Codex is. So
also this one.
It just says this one.
Open it.
Okay.
Open it.
Oh, hi.
Sam's turn.
That was it. That's what it said. Did you say that? Hi. Hi there. All right, Sam, your turn. Oh, wow. Sam's sitting down.
All right. Is it more fun to write unpronounceable dragon names or harder to pronounce alien names?
Okay. Is it
Both.
more fun to write unpronounceable dragon names or hard to pronounce alien names? Well, I have an answer to that, but in order to answer it, Sam, I need to eventually have you get the mic over here to Seshethkanaz because he's been trying to ask a question. And yeah. So initially I try to come up with a naming convention for every one of my factions, right? Like I try to come up with something, the Kura clan's the obvious one, but I try to do it for everybody. And for dragons, I went, okay, what sounds like a dragon name? And I thought, sounds kind of lizardy and sounds like something that is very difficult for humans to pronounce. So as a result, those are the ways that I make up dragon names. Difficult to pronounce and lizardy. So Travis is hilarious with those because he'll email me and he'll be like, why are you doing this to me? And he generally comes up with it pretty well. So what I have more fun with is the dragon names because Travis makes jokes about them.
Speaking of which, Sasesh Kanaz.
In your what is called freedom units, how strong are we measured as monarchs in these?
How strong?
In these pounds and feet per second.
Oh, okay, all right. So how strong are the monarchs in imperial measurements?
Notice he said
freedom?
we. He is really a monarch.
That's right, I know.
Get out.
I'm a little afraid. Well, I was going to answer in metric, but now I got to do it in imperial. How strong? So one of the things is it becomes difficult to measure at a certain point, which is why sages and heralds they start to go beyond kind of physical interactions, right? You start to have authority interactions and you start to have willpower interactions because that you've maxed out what a human can realistically do with freedom units. So it stops to be, yeah, you can lift this many pounds or you can punch with this much force, and it starts to be, can you lift this? Yes. So it's like North Strider or an ancient monarch such as yourself could effectively lift anything that can be lifted. But at a certain point, you run into leverage issues, you run into, if you're abiding by the normal laws of physics, then picking up something extremely heavy, even though you can lift it, would immediately drive you into the ground like a nail, right? So you have to use Madra, or you have to use authority, or you have to use willpower to then compensate for that to lift. As for what you can lift, anything you want to. That's the answer. As many freedom units as there are.
And that's what happens when you ask a number question to a writer.
I wrote the system with that in mind, man. I'm not calculating stuff. Are you kidding me?
All right, Will, in your opinion, what makes a good lit RPG?
In my opinion, what makes a good lit RPG? Oh, okay. So this is very interesting because I've wrestled with this a lot, and I went back and forth on this. I am still afraid that what I'm writing is not lit RPG enough. Because I need more stat pages. However, in my opinion, what makes a good lit RPG is the same thing that makes any other good story, and it really is engaging characters and a story that you're there to watch. And so it's a story that you want to keep reading. And that's one of the reasons why I bounce off a lot of lit RPG. A lot of it is pretty good, but it's one of those things, it's not my favorite thing. And the reason it ends up not being my favorite thing is because in many lit RPGs, what is intended to keep you reading and keep you interested and keep you engaged is the very act of gaining points and making your stats levels go higher and getting more levels and doing the thing. And so it's I'm going to go get, the stereotypical, I'm going to go get 10 wolf pelts or 10 jugs of milk and then I'm going to turn them in. And that, to me, is the kind of part that even if I was playing a game, I would skip. I don't like those. This is a fetch quest. It's not very much fun. And so I don't want that in the book because I'm like, I wouldn't want that if in an actual game I was playing. So to me, it's all about how engaging it remains. And yeah, so I think the really great lit RPGs are good stories. And they're good stories that are themed similarly to the way video games are. And then that appeals to me because I like video games. So that's it.
Okay, so we're going to do 2 more questions. Sam is going to pick one more person from the audience.
Gotta get
Will
one in
is
the back.
going to choose
I didn't
one
show
more
much
card from the book.
love
from
to the
box.
back.
All right, here we
Sorry,
go.
I didn't.
Drama.
This is about Dross again. So I wanted to ask, if Dross is a spirit and Little Blue is also a spirit, could Dross ascend under his own power if he was separated from Linden? And if he can, does that make him different than other presents?
He could have, had he separated from Linden. So it's possible that Dross could have become an independent spirit who could then have ascended under his own power. That is a path that Dross could have taken. But what he did instead was he of course, was developed by Linden, and as part of Linden and as part of tied to Linden, he's effectively a symbiotic entity with Linden. So at the point before they ascended, could Dross have done that? No, Nope, that door was closed.
All right.
He's gone.
Final box question. Go,
Final
Will, go.
boss question. Okay, there's one white card in here, and I'm going to pick it because it stands out because all the other ones are colored. All right. So we answered green ones and blue ones and pink ones.
Oh, it's a double question.
And so we're going to do one with has no color. Are there any plans on doing a large iteration-wide crossover a la Avengers style, or how later Cosmere books are interconnected? And then secondarily, outside the obvious, what D&D classes would your main characters be? I don't know about outside the obvious, because they all do kind of fit in a class usually. So I have interesting answers to the second one, but not so much to the first one. The first one is, I would love to write an Avengers-style crossover because it's fun. And because it's one of those things that I've always kind of wanted to read, and then people keep building toward them, but you rarely get to see the actual Avengers crossover. And I think that'd be neat. However, that's a lot of homework to ask somebody to do. It's like, all right, so assuming you've read these 30 books, this is going to be really cool. Asking someone to watch 20 movies is a tall enough ask, and that is a fraction of the time that it takes to read 20 books. So, yeah, the people here would be fine. You guys are good. I'm not talking to you.
Avengers Endgame made like $30 billion. I'm just saying. Just saying.
That's not. It was less than that. But yeah, no. Yeah. So it's a practical concern. I think it'd be fun to do. I don't want people to have to read 30 books to read a new book by me. Then, what D&D classes would your main characters be? You said outside the obvious, and that's a problem with me because that's the classes they would be. So Lyndon would be a monk, and Varric would be a wizard, and so Simon would be a fighter, and Calder would also be fighter, rogue, maybe probably a rogue, probably more like a rogue, and the Sheriff would also be a rogue. Yeah, that is why I did that intentionally. So Calder would be a rogue, Sheriff would be a rogue. Here's the thing: I did that on purpose. One of the things I said years ago was I was working on Elder Empire, and I just started planning Cradle, and I was like, I've done fighter, and I've done 2 rogues, and I'm now doing a monk. I need to get some caster classes in here. So then I started working on Last Horizon, which is now a wizard, and I'm going to continue working my way through the Player's Handbook, pretty much. So, keep your eyes out for Paladin and Warlock.
That's the real answer for where his
Which
ideas
class
come
is the
from.
butler? Read and find out.
Hey! All right, Will, so what is your final words you want to say to everybody before we
my
get
final
off
words.
stage?
Okay.
Final words. Put a lemon in your bathroom.
Most of you here were here earlier, but here's my punchline. Put a lemon in your bathroom. Let it remind you to think of things from other people's perspectives. And in order to help you walk you through that, watch one of the 3 movies I showed earlier, which is Thunderbolts, Inside Out 2, or K-Pop Demon Hunters. Everybody else's favorite pick but mine. But I do recommend it. Watch one of those, talk about it with somebody, and practice getting in other people's heads. Put a lemon in your bathroom. All right, everybody, thanks for being here.